Welcome to the New York State PTECH Request for Proposals webinar, offered through the Office of Access, Equity, and Community Engagement Services and the Office of Post-Secondary Access Support and Success. The New York State PTECH RFP overview. The purpose of the grant. The New York State Pathways and Technology Early College High School prepares students for high skills jobs of the future in STEM fields. The model incorporates a 6-year program that combines high school, college, and career training and will be targeted to academically and economically at-risk students. Scope of the grant. The New York State PTECH grant provides funding for regional partnerships that respond to the greatest need for enhanced access to post-secondary opportunity for students and the potential to build a local talent pipeline for industries with a favorable job outlook. Each partnership will include K-12, higher education, and business employer partners. Project period, July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2026. Note, applicants who believe they can meet the 1-year planning requirements in time to begin classes for September 2019 must indicate in their proposal their desire to do so. Those applicants do not receive additional funds and must submit the comprehensive program plan outlined in the RFP, pages 30 through 31, to the New York State PTECH Program Office for review and approval before commencing programming. New York State PTECH RFP overview, applicant eligibility. Eligible fiscal agents/applicants. A New York State public school district or a BOCES must serve as the fiscal agent/applicant for each application. Projects eligible for funding must consist of partnerships which must include at least one K-12 partner, one higher education partner, and one business employer. Additional partners may be included based on the needs identified in the geographic region being served. Mandatory application requirements. A Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, that has been signed by all members of the partnership must be included. All participating school district superintendents, or, where applicable, the chancellor or chancellor's specific designee, at least one participating high school principal, the president of the higher education institution or institutions, the BOCES superintendent, where applicable, and the CEO or designee of the industry partner or partners. Please note, letters of support will not be accepted in lieu of a partner's signature on the MOU. Applications that do not include a MOU signed by all partners will not be reviewed for consideration. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Memorandum of Understanding, MOU. Each partnership will designate one partner as the implementation lead in the MOU. The implementation lead entity may be a K-12, higher education, or business/employer partner. The implementation lead need not be the same as the school district or BOCES serving as fiscal agent/applicant. The implementation lead shall be the partner that is responsible for coordinating and overseeing the planning and implementation of the program. The implementation lead must meet the following requirements. Must be recognized in the MOU by all partners as the lead agency. Must identify key existing staff to coordinate planning and operations. Must convene all partners, coordinate the planning process, and oversee student and staff recruitment and program implementation. must participate in annual trainings. Continued. The MOU must outline each member's roles and responsibilities in the project, and it should contain articulation language that ensures that the higher education credits earned in the program are transcript-based and acceptable towards the AAS degree to be earned from the higher education partner. All parties to the MOU must demonstrate the commitment of the organization's top leadership to support program implementation, identify resources, and resolve any policy or regulatory issues that may hamper aspects of the innovative New York State PTECH 9 through 14 model. The application must identify the specific school or schools in the district that will be participating. The application must identify a specific higher education college partner. For example, Queensborough Community College is a specific higher education partner, but CUNY is not. New York State PTECH RFP overview, target population. The applicant should describe an effective plan to recruit and serve students who have been identified as academically and/or economically at risk for not successfully completing high school and/or not enrolling in or succeeding in college, and/or belong to populations that have traditionally been underserved in post-secondary settings. The project must identify, target, recruit, and enroll a full complement of non-traditional college goers, academically and economically at-risk students for the first cohort. The following elements will be measured and reported each implementation year: number of students enrolled, percent of enrolled students who are at risk or otherwise underserved. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Program Model. The New York State PTECH model incorporates a 6-year program that combines high school, college, and career training and will be targeted to academically and/or economically at-risk students. The New York State PTECH model delivers 6 core benefits to students: a rigorous, relevant, and cost-free grades 9 to 14 education focused on the knowledge and skills that students need for science, technology, engineering, and math STEM careers; workplace learning that includes ongoing mentoring by professionals in the chosen career sector; worksite visits, speakers, job shadowing, and internships; intensive individualized academic support by K-12 and college faculty within an extended academic year or school day that enables students to progress through the program at their own pace; opportunities for any student in a funded high school to obtain college credits; an Associate of Applied Science degree or the 2-year degree that is the industry standard for the targeted jobs in a field with favorable job outlook. Targeted jobs should be positions that require an AAS degree but do not require a 4-year degree. And the commitment to be first in line for a job with a participating business employer partners following completion of the program and satisfactorily meeting any employment evaluations. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Program Model continued. Each applicant will develop a 6-year integrated scope and sequence beginning with 9th grade that is sequential and integrates academic and work-based instruction and provides preparation for a career field, leads to a technical skill proficiency or an industry-recognized credential, satisfies the requirements for a Regents High School diploma and AAS degree or other industry-accepted 2-year post-secondary degree, and a specific career field from a registered post-secondary program, and will introduce college courses and experiences and workplace activities no later than the 10th grade and continue throughout the 6 years. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Program Model continued. Each applicant will develop a 6-year integrated scope and sequence beginning with 9th grade that is sequential and integrates academic and work-based instruction and provides preparation for a career field, leads to a technical skill proficiency or an industry-recognized credential, satisfies the requirement for a Regents high school diploma and AAS degree or other industry-accepted 2-year post-secondary degree in a specific career field from a registered post-secondary program, and will introduce college courses and experiences and workplace activities no later than the 10th grade and continue throughout the 6th year. Program model continued. Each applicant will describe a program structure that brings all students to the same common location, beginning in the 9th grade, to assure consistent, rigorous services that are infused with the career focus and create a college-going environment. All students, whether from one school district or multiple school districts, must all come together on the first day of their New York State PTECH program at the same location for the beginning of their secondary education. The high school instructional program should be delivered to each cohort in a single common location to ensure consistent, rigorous instruction that is infused with the targeted career pathways and offers a college-going professional environment throughout the school day. Students will go to appropriate locations, business employer partners' work sites, and/or the college partners' campus for workplace learning and college coursework when their program of study require. But the majority of their high school coursework should be done in one location where the teachers, staff, and leaders are all focused on the goals of the New York State PTECH model. This may be a standalone school or a school within a school model, but not a multiple high school model. In multi-district partnerships, there should be formal recruitment agreements to ensure a full complement of rising 9th graders each year and equal opportunity for students in the targeted groups in each district to participate. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Funding, Project Funding. Funds will be distributed based on approved program budgets. The basic award is $500,000, with a bonus of $100,000 for partnering with an in-demand industry partner. An in-demand industry partner is defined by the New York State Department of Labor. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Sliding Scale. PTECH sliding scale of degree awards. With the exception of the planning year, projects in their 6th year of implementation must meet graduation degree granting targets in order to receive their entire final year award. For example, $500,000 or $600,000. 10% of the project funds will be withheld contingent upon a certain percentage of the project's initially enrolled cohort of students earning at least 40 credits or their associate's degree in their 6th year of the program. The following is a table found in the RFP. Specific targets and fiscal implications. Of the final 10% of funds, projects will be eligible to receive all remaining funds if 75% or more of the initially enrolled cohort of students earn at least 40 credits or their associate's degree in their 6th year of the program. Projects where 50% or 274% of the initially enrolled 6th year cohort of students earn 40 credits or their associate's degree will be eligible to receive 50% of their final 10% of funding. Projects where less than 49% of their initially 6th year cohort of students earn 40 credits or their associate's degree will be eligible to receive 25% of the final 10% of funding for the final year. The chart below outlines the chart within this slide outlines the specific fiscal implications. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Allowable Costs. Budgets for the use of grant funds, FS-TON budget form, and the accompanying budget narrative will be reviewed, and any items that are deemed non-allowable, excessive, or inappropriate will be eliminated. Grantees will not be allowed to substitute new items for those that have been eliminated. Budgets that include non-allowable, excessive, or inappropriate items will receive a lower score. All expenditures must contribute to student achievement in New York State PTECH programming. Allowable costs continued. Allowable expenditures may include, but are not limited to, the following: service contracts between members of the partnership, purchases of existing evidence-based and/or standard-based curriculum that focuses on a STEM-related career area, payment for development of curricula that emphasizes rigorous STEM content within a chosen New York State PTECH program, professional development to enhance teaching and learning, purchase of equipment needed to upgrade existing programs or new equipment to start a program. Equipment purchases limited 10% of the budget total. Allowable costs continued. Workshops and planning meetings between consortium personnel, including counselors, parents, and college faculty, and business leaders to support program sustainability and build awareness in the region on the benefits for having such programs. Post-secondary curriculum development that facilitates alignment and the articulation with secondary programs leading to college degrees and/or other industry-recognized credentials that meet the needs of the employers. Tuition for non-remedial credit-bearing courses, college courses. Let me repeat. Tuition for non-remedial credit-bearing college courses. The higher education partners are encouraged to waive or reduce tuition costs for credit to no more than existing college and the high school rates, and annual evaluation of the PTECH program funded through this RFP. New York State PTECH RFP non-allowable costs. Non-allowable expenditures include, but are not limited to, the following: supplanting of existing funding and efforts, including costs otherwise necessary to operate a school without this grant. Subgrants to members of the partnership or other agencies. This includes mini-grants, which are different than purchase service contracts. Acquisition of equipment for administrative or personal use. Acquisition of furniture, for example, bookcases, chairs, desks, file cabinets, and tables, unless an integral part of an equipment workstation or to provide reasonable accommodations to students with disabilities. Food services, refreshments, banquets, and meals. Purchase of rental or space. Remodeling, which is not directly connected to accessibility to career pathway instruction or services. Non-allowable costs continued. Payment for memberships in professional organizations. Purchase of promotional favors such as bumper stickers, pencils, pens, or t-shirts. Subscriptions to journals or magazines. Travel outside the United States is prohibited, and travel outside of New York State must be pre-approved. Any expenditure for students not enrolled in New York State PTECH programs, including career exploration, tuition for college-level remedial courses, and indirect costs of partner organizations. Expenditures financed with grants funds awarded under this request for proposals, RFP, are not eligible to I, receive reimbursement under BOCES aid or building aid, or II, otherwise generate additional BOCES aid or building aid. Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise, MWBE participation goals. The following MWBE requirements apply when an applicant submits an application for grant funding that exceeds $25,000 for the full grant term. All applicants are required to comply with New York State Education Department's Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprises MWBE policy. The compliance can be achieved by one of the three methods described in the RFP. Full participation by meeting or exceeding the MWBE participation goals for this grant is the preferred method. MWBE participation includes services, materials, or supplies purchased from minority and women-owned firms certified with the New York State Division of Minority and Women Business Development. Not-for-profit agencies are not eligible for this certification. For additional information and a listing of currently certified MWBEs, see the New York State MWBE directory. MWBE goals continued. The MWBE participation goal for this grant is 30% of each applicant's total discretionary non-personal service budget each year of the grant. Discretionary non-personal service budget is defined as total annual budget excluding the sum of funds budgeted for direct personal services, that is, professional and support staff salaries, and fringe benefits, and rent, lease, utilities, and indirect costs, if these items are allowable expenditures. For the purposes of this RFP, these exclusions apply to the expenses of the lead applicants as well as any other members of the partnership. For example, the salaries of project staff employed by the IHE and business partners should be excluded from the total budget, along with the salaries of project staff employed by the lead applicant, when calculating the discretionary non-personal service budget. Please note that the indirect costs of partner organizations are not allowable expenses under this grant program. The MWBE goal calculation worksheet is provided for use in calculating the dollar amount of the MWBE goal for this grant application. All forms referenced here can be found in the MWBE documents attached in the RFP. All requested information and documentation must be provided at the time of submission. New York State PTECH RFP, applications from school districts. Priority will be given to proposals from sending school districts with a cohort high school graduation rate below 82%, based on the 4-year cohort graduation rate for the 2016-2017 school year, August. Published annually by NYSED, see https://data.nysed.gov/. However, should there be applicants who have graduation rates higher than 82% and there is availability of resources to fund such projects will also be considered. With regards to both these applications, or where multiple districts apply to a consortium, priority will be given to proposals whose participating school districts, those districts who have signed the MOU and are sending students to participate in the program, have an average cohort graduation below 82% based on the 4-year cohort graduation rate for the 2016-2017 school year, August, published annually by NYSED. See https://data.nysed.gov/. Should there be BOCES or consortium applicants whose participating school districts' high school graduation rates average higher than 82% and there is availability of resources to fund such projects will also be considered. New York State PTECH RFP, applications from school districts continued. Applications from school districts that have received School Improvement Grants, or SIG. School districts that have received SIG should describe in the program design section of their proposal narrative how New York State PTECH grant funds will work with other federal and state grant funds to meet their individual turnaround strategy. If the school which will host the program is currently implementing an approved SIG, the program proposed under this application must be consistent with the whole school redesign model approved and implemented and the school district and school-defined theory of action approach to school turnaround redesign. Such plans may be amended as needed to ensure alignment. Applications from school districts that have previously received funding for New York State PTECH programs. This application cannot be used to support, enhance, or expand an existing New York State PTECH program. School districts that have an existing New York State PTECH program can apply to begin a new program at a new location and with new degree pathways. Applications can include partners from existing New York State PTECH programs as long as the program describes a distinct program. Experience with a prior New York State PTECH grant should be included in the proposal narrative to demonstrate the capacity of the fiscal and implementation leads to implement a successful new program. New York State PTECH RFP applications from school districts continued. Applications from school districts that have existing Smart Scholars programs. This application cannot be used to support an existing Smart Scholars program. If the school district proposes to transition an existing Smart Scholars program into a New York State PTECH program, the proposal narrative must specifically address how the resulting program will meet all of the requirements of the New York State PTECH and how the transition will be conducted. The proposal must also detail the use of funds to avoid any supplanting from one grant to the next. Experience with the Smart Scholars can be included in the proposal narrative to demonstrate the capacity of the fiscal and implementation leads to implement a successful new program. Please note, students currently enrolled in a Smart Scholars program do not transition into New York State PTECH students. They must remain and be supported as Smart Scholars students using Smart Scholars funding until they graduate high school at the end of the 12th grade. Only new freshmen and subsequent freshmen thereafter can be supported by New York State PTECH funds, as Smart Scholars and New York State PTECH are distinctly different programs with different goals and outcomes. New York State PTECH RFP required data elements. New York State PTECH is a data-intensive program. Be sure you have the staffing and support to collect and provide SED with the required reports on time. On October 31st of each implementation year of the grant, each implementation lead is required to submit the following student data elements to SED. Descriptive data, NYSIS ID number, first and last name, gender, class level for the year the data is collected, home county, home secondary school district, date of entry into the program. That required data elements continued. Ethnicity designation, Hispanic or Latino, American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, white, unknown, special population status, attendance issues and or truancy, economically disadvantaged, English language learners, ELL, familial lack of academic achievement, individuals with disabilities, unsatisfactory academic achievement, or please explain other. New York State PTECH RFP required data elements continued. New York State Education Department and SUNY will develop a data sharing agreement which tracks New York State PTECH participants' progress and outcomes. New York State PTECH RFP overview scoring rubric. All applicants must receive a minimum score of 65 points to be considered for funding. Rating guidelines, very good, would be considered specific and comprehensive, complete, detailed, and clearly articulated information as to how the criteria are met. Well-conceived and thoroughly developed ideas. Good, general but sufficient detail, adequate information as to how the criteria are met, but some areas are not fully explained and or questions remain. Some minor inconsistencies and weaknesses. Fair or unclear and nonspecific. Limited information is provided about approach and strategies, lacks focus and detail. Poor, does not meet the criteria, fails to provide information, provides inaccurate information, or provides information that requires substantial clarification as to how the criteria are met. Or not found, does not address the criteria, or simply restates the criteria. New York State PTECH RFP Overview Method of Award. Each eligible proposal will be reviewed using team scoring by the SED PTECH Evaluation Panel composed of SED staff. Awards will be made as follows. Up to a total of 8 awards will be made to eligible partnerships. Awards will be made to the highest scoring partnerships that meet the minimum scoring threshold, that have a graduation rate below the state average, 82%, but are not currently involved in a school-wide turnaround model until a maximum of 8 awards have been made or until there are no fundable applications remaining. If there are still funds available, awards will be made to the highest scoring partnerships that meet the minimum scoring thresholds until funds are exhausted or until there are no fundable applications remaining. Questions and answers. All questions must be submitted via email to nysptech@nysptech.org nysed.gov or New York State PTECH at nysed.gov by March 13, 2019. A complete list of all questions and answers will be posted no later than March 27, 2019. Application submission. Only applications from eligible applicants that are received by the deadline will be reviewed. Submit 1 original and 3 copies postmarked by April 10, 2019 to the address below. New York State Education Department, attention, New York State PTECH grant. Office of Post-Secondary Access Support and Success, 971 EBA, 89 Washington Avenue, Albany, New York, 12234. Also submit an electronic version containing all application and MWBE documents in Microsoft Word or PDF format. They should be submitted to nysptech@nysed.gov or New York State PTECH at nysed.gov. The electronic submission does not replace the need for hard copy submission to have a postmark no later than April 10th, 2019. We thank you for your attention.